think changing from have to get, man, I have to do this versus, oh, I get to do this, right? And the mentality in doing it is, why do I get to do it? You know, so it's like, man, I get to do this for what? And a lot of people forget for what. And, you know, and when they get burnt out, they forget why they started it in the first place. And people out there that need help, like I always tell people, is so many, you know, I ask them, how many people gonna be forced to live a nightmare because you scared to live your wild?
Welcome to another episode of More Than a Barber. I am your host, AP, and today we have a very special edition. We are live at EFC. This is an incredible conference that you want to be a part of as it relates to this live show. So we got my man, Pastor Kid, and my guy, Derek. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Just blessed to be here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, today we got a live audience, but we also have our community who are watching. And before we get into this episode, what I need you to do is I need you to subscribe to this actual channel. We are a channel where we inspire to help those that are coming up behind us, entrepreneurs, barbers, and those that are within our community. Make sure you subscribe. We have an amazing community that we're building. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to get right into this episode. We got some power-packed questions, but more importantly, we got some guys that are game changers in the entrepreneurship journey. What's going on, guys? Y'all ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
So listen, let's do this. Let's kind of get some background before we get into the question, because I know this is something that is very near and dear to your hearts as it relates to entrepreneurship. But I want to hear more about it so we can share with our community who you are and what it is that you bring to the entrepreneurship world.
Okay. Well, my name, of course, is Pastor Ken, as you stated already, man. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Just on day 2 of the Entrepreneurs Faith Convention, which has been absolutely amazing. It's been tremendous. The objective this year was really to just get entrepreneurs, faith-based entrepreneurs in the same room.
Yes.
I've been in business for over 25 years, and I found that there's a tension between both faith and business. And so I decided many years ago to stop apologizing for being a person who loves God, who serves God, and happens to do business as well.
Yeah.
I discovered many years ago that a call to business is a call to ministry. So this meeting, Entrepreneurs Faith Convention, we had this place was full, man. It was
Yes.
a healthy conversation. We dealt with conversations that really centered around just about every area of business. So whether you were entry level, a novice, or an experienced entrepreneur, or a serial entrepreneur,
Yes.
we were able to cater to them, and it's just been really tremendous.
Man, that's amazing. Listen, we haven't even gotten to the questions, and I already feel the gems coming. I feel it coming. Thank you, Pastor Kid. And my God, what's going on? Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'm Derek Harper. And, you know, similar to Pastor Ken, I'm big on just helping people find that the struggles that they're going through isn't for them. It's the solution to be able to come and grab the kingdom, to guide them through. And I help them to discover that, but also fund that and turn it into wealth.
I love that. Listen, you know, for me being an entrepreneur for over 15 years, this is going to be an incredible conversation, and here's why. Because I am a professional barber, and I'm transitioning to what we call a professional serial entrepreneur. Because most times when you have barbers, they just strictly look at the chair and the chair only. So in this conversation, I want to unpack the entrepreneurship world at large so that we can help our community unpack some questions that they may have as it relates to becoming a professional entrepreneur. So let's do it. So let's get right into it. Some of the things that I've been thinking about as it relates to an entrepreneur is, how do you know when it's time to step out and become an entrepreneur? Oftentimes we are on our jobs and we hate our job. Like, this is something that I hate getting up on Monday morning. I hate driving in the traffic. But as for me, I don't have those same sentiments. I have a passion to go to work. I don't need an alarm clock, because what wakes me up is what I get to do every single day on my own time. And so can you explain to our community, and let's even talk about this as a collective, what does it take to get to that place where you think it's time to become an entrepreneur?
I mean, just like you said, I think changing from have to get, man, I have to do this versus, oh, I get to do this, right? And the mentality in doing it is, why do I get to do it? You know, so it's like, man, I get to do this for what? And a lot of people forget the for what. And, you know, and when they get burnt out, they forget why they started it in the first place. There's people out there that need help. And like I always tell people, is so many, you know, I ask them, how many people gonna be forced to live a nightmare because you scared to live your wild, right?
That's a bar. Hold on. I need you to say that again.
How many people are gonna be forced to live a nightmare because you scared to live your dreams? And most of them happen because you solved the problem that this unique guy gave you. You didn't know anybody was out there, you know, that had them, which is why you were called to do it. And then once you document it, and then go and be on assignment to help people, because you know how it felt going through it.
That's right.
So watching the beauty of transitioning somebody and seeing them get to where they're supposed to be, it's different than getting the money, but then knowing that that's what God has you, I think that's a big one. Just like, you know, you with the barber, you know, you cut hair.
Yes.
Them leaving with a smile,
Yes.
it's different than when they came in, like, wow, man, I'm fresh. You know, that has to be beautiful.
Absolutely.
To see, so.
Absolutely.
I would say, just to add to the conversation, one, I want people to understand that everybody had to start somewhere. And I believe the principle is true, and it's not just the principle, it's scripture that if you can't be faithful over that which belongs to somebody else, how can God bring you into your own? I think there's a misnomer, especially coming across the pulpit, that we are setting people up with a bad understanding of what it means to enter into the business community. People are leaving great jobs to move into this, but not understanding what this looks like. And so, you know, I tend to have the belief that not everybody is called to work for themselves, and we have to accept that reality. Because at the end of the day, with the enterprises that I have, you don't want me answering the phone. Because depending upon if my introvert kicks in, I feel like, so I need someone who's been called and is great at that front-facing experience to handle that. So if we can just get people to breathe in and breathe out a little bit, and really ask yourself, is this what God is calling me to do, or is your pride in the way where you are lusting for something that you really have no grace for?
Wow.
Because being an entrepreneur, moving into business, being self-employed, it requires a grace. Just like being a pastor, it's a grace. You see it in church. You see people, one day they pastor, next day they bishop, one day they minister, next day they just got to, they can talk one good sermon, they got apostolic credentials with a faith stone on their hand, and that's not how it works. And so I want to give those who are listening to me right now permission to be okay where you are, because God can make you the CEO of working for somebody else. What you need is to learn how to be a great negotiator, because people complain about jobs where they're undercompensated. But you got to ask yourself, if someone paid you your worth, do you believe you can stand back and serve their mission for the glory of God? And that's good. And so, yeah, so that I know we
that's good.
We get in trouble. So,
you said something, you both said something that was incredible. And here's what I find with what you both shared, is that we have created, whether it's in the church or in the marketplace, we have created an image as it relates to, ooh, I want that business. Right? We've created this image, and now what we have is people don't have the foundation as it relates to how to build a business. And this is what I've been talking about. This is something that God has dropped into my spirit as it relates to business. He says, build a solid foundation first. Because when you build a solid foundation, you'll have some bandwidth. And then the other side to this is, when you build a fancy house on sand, it's not an if, it's a when the storm comes. So if as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, if that foundation is strong, when the storm comes, you might bend, but you won't break, right? And so I want to talk to that person that says, man, I like what that looks like, but I don't know what it all entails as it relates to becoming a business owner in that particular way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would say, man, most people don't know. Derek shared his story earlier today during the faith convention.
Yes.
You know, we have some similarities in that I've been through divorce.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's his story. That's
sure.
my story. I definitely dropped dropped on that first relationship. Now I'm happily married 18 years in.
Love that.
Make sure I throw that out there.
Shout out to 18 years.
Also, I've been through bankruptcy.
Wow.
You know, this is at the prime of my life in real estate. I lost everything. And I had a decision to make at that time. Would I quit being down, or would I make a decision to get myself back up, try this thing again? What you're going to learn in business is this idea of continuing to try and learning. I know this word pivot has become a pandemic term. Folks didn't know what pivot meant until COVID. But I've learned that I've been in this thing for 25 years, so I'm not a pandemic business owner. I've been in this thing and I've survived some harder seasons. And I'm not even here saying today that things are perfect, because it's not. It's just you learn that you have to create a healthy balance between success and failure. And if you can understand that if every measure every level that you go to, that before you get to that level, there's something that has to be healed so that you can thrive at your next. And I think people think that we enter into a permanent, perpetual state of success and never have to revisit failure. And that's untrue. I don't know about you, Derek. That's just how it is for me.
I love it, and I think that's exactly why I created that mantra. Done is better than perfect, because perfect never gets done.
Come on, say that.
That's good.
Done is better than perfect, because perfect never gets done. And a lot of people haven't gotten started yet because they want it perfect before they get started. And so they push this whole thing in their image, right? And I tell people a lot of times, that's your business, but that ain't your assignment. And a lot of people, like you said, they see a business and say, oh, I want to do that, and they're not the one that's supposed to be called to do that. And a lot of people will try to build it in the vision of what they already been assigned to do. And then therefore it's not them. So I tell people, what you're supposed to do might not even come to light yet. That's why I say done is better than perfect. Get out there, try to find out what it is. People gonna give you feedback on it. Improve on that feedback, and you would pivot into actually what you're supposed to do, because now when you're trying to build this thing all the way out how you see it and not how God see it, then you're gonna drop it. It's gonna be every mistake that you forgot about because you didn't build it based on what other people need. And when you start talking about getting out here and offering things to other people, what you needed at the time that you built it isn't what the people who gonna buy from you need, so therefore it's done. And I think a lot of people never get started with offering help, and then they never find out what they're supposed to be because they don't have any clientele.
I love that. Let's speak to that. I see you got something.
No.
Let's go to that, because here's what I like about what you guys said. For me, I think that coaching is a lost art for those who desire to really become successful. So let me ask this question. How important is it for coaching for the entrepreneur, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or you've been in the game for years? How important is coaching plays a part in their success?
Well, let me say this, because the guy I'm sitting next to is my coach.
Wow,
so
that's good.
First, and you can jump in.
That's good.
I met Derek a few years back, and one particular line of business that I was in, I was familiar with the industry. I had been in it a little while. However, I wanted to polish it up. I wanted to find ways to do what I had been called to do, embracing ethical tactics. Because this particular industry, it was laced with the ethic issue. I mean, just laced in greed. So I linked up with Derek because Derek had came through a storm that could benefit my life. And you have to see that coaching is an opportunity to borrow someone's history. And if we can really understand that coaching is not about what you're paying a guy. You are investing in a guy, leveraging or borrowing his or her history so you don't have to repeat the storm they just came through. Yes. And so when I heard of this guy's story and I saw what was going on, I mean, multi-million-dollar earner, just killing in the game, I realized he had a story. And so I went on a free session with him, and it was crazy. You may not even remember this. But you told us to meet you, it was like 11 o'clock p.m. my time. And I'm like, who does that? Like, it's 11 o'clock. He says, if y'all really were interested in growing in this area, you really want to build your business, meet me tonight, crazy time. I don't know what time frame it may have been 10 p.m. your time. And my wife was like, babe, isn't it time for bed? I said, yeah, but this guy is cold. She's talking about we need to be there at 11 o'clock. He trained us for literally it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I learned an invaluable lesson that when you find someone who believes in your business, you got to also see that their objective in your life is not just to increase your profits. Their objective is to also get you to stretch yourself and challenge yourself to think on a whole nother level. I learned the value of investment. And I'm here to say, because of his mentorship, because of his training, I was able to hit some of my goals much quicker, faster, and easier because he was not afraid to share with me his failures.
Wow.
And I think that if we really can see, a lot of guys are out and hitting brick walls because they have this mindset, I can do it by myself, I don't need no help. Sadly, this is what we see in our culture, in our demographic.
Yeah.
And I pray that this episode really changes someone's mind.
Sure.
That, the scripture, a man's gift will make room for it.
Yes.
We talked about that previously, so I'm not going to go down that lane. But
it's all good.
So Derek gave me his time, but I also had to invest in Derek something that got his attention. And what the investment required did hurt my feelings a little bit, but when I started seeing clients paying me what I was paying him, I then determined that it was worth it. So I believe it's important.
That's good. That's good.
And I, when the conversation of coaching comes up, I always follow up with a question. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, seafood.
Seafood, what type?
Shrimp and crabs.
Shrimp and crab.
Yes, sir.
Why is that your favorite food?
Tastes good.
Because you experienced it, you had.
I like it. Yeah. That's good.
So because you would never choose a food that you haven't tried before because you don't know what's your favorite, right?
That's good.
So the experience you had with seafood made it your favorite. Yes. So a lot of times when it comes to coaching, they've had an experience that you haven't had access to yet. So your favorite still haven't been seen yet. We hear the description. Everything is waiting on us. Like, oh, you ain't seen the beginning of these shows because you haven't had access to it yet. And so now coaching gives you the access to somebody who's experienced different tastes on their palate, not necessarily food, but we're talking about experiences, right?
Yes.
And so, for example, I'm not paying $30,000 to get an event planning coach and you lose $50,000 because it's mistakes you made in that event you planned. And then now you're trying to avoid something because you're looking at the person instead of looking at the mission that you actually hired a coach for. Wow. So I'm big on taking a shortcut on getting those experiences. Like you said, borrowing somebody's history, but also borrowing their experience and their past, what they have access to as well. So.
Okay, so Derek, walk me through this because you have to be, I would say, out of your mind, coaching at 12 o'clock midnight. So can you walk us through what was the mindset behind saying, I'm going to go at 12 o'clock midnight to coach?
Obedience.
Wow.
I think the biggest thing is if God can trust me with a little bit, he can trust me with life.
I like it.
And when I'm going through things, of course, you got people who understand you on a surface level, and then you got people who understand the God in you. And you have to handle both of them different. And so some people see what God is doing in you, and some people see what the world is doing. And so when I'm going through something, like you said, I was coming out of something, which stood by me and would turn it in to create 8 figures, I learned that anything that I want, I just gotta get it first. So now my prayers was, God, you maximize money, blah, blah, blah. Now it's no, send me. And so now the thing is if God is sending me to people, and God is also waking me up at 10:30 at night with a lot to tell people, I just got to be obedient. So it wasn't about me gaining that. It was about the middle of the night. That same call actually stopped a lady who was going to the bathroom to kill herself.
Wow.
So and I realized after getting those testimonies, if I never did it, I would realize that my testimony had saved her life. So now, if it's 2:30 in the morning, I'm going live now. It's like, hey, let's get on. And I realized, like, when people see, well, you got hundreds of thousands of followers. No, I'm creating hundreds of thousands of leaders. And when you start looking at it like that, then if you lead, they'll follow. I don't want a bunch of followers, though. I want people, you know.
I guess.
So that's the mentality.
I love that.
I'll say this too, this guy is a very humble guy, so, so it's always sort of good to let people tell what you've done and some of your accomplishments. In that 2 a.m. call, Derek had just did a video or something. I think your Rolls Royce was delivered to you or something. And I went and tapped my wife. I woke her up. No joke. I woke her up and said, "Babe, this new coach, man, he just rolled off a freaking Rolls Royce." And then I said, I think I can buy me a Bentley now. And she said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I think I can own a Bentley." I remember when I posted it in the group.
Oh, yeah.
I said, "Hey, I just want to let you guys know what I thought I could not do, I was able to do because of mentorship and coaching." Here's the beauty about mentorship is once you are exposed to something, it's hard to unsee it. That's what coaching does. It brings exposure. When a guy is closed-minded or when a businesswoman is closed-minded, it means no one has exposed them to something that's bigger than them.
Yeah.
When I invested in him, and I have multiple coaches, he's not the only one, but when I invested in coaches, I discovered that I'm being, something else is being unwrapped that I need to see so they can turn into a nightmare.
Wow.
And I discovered that when he brought me to that level of exposure, I started believing God for things through my business, for things I didn't even think was even possible. So I just want to say the beauty of mentorship, the beauty of coaching is exposure.
And they say exposure leads to expansion.
It does.
And so as you get exposed to things that you've never seen, what you talked about the seafood, I'm telling you, that seafood is a catch. But the exposure leads to expansion, and that's one of the things that I like. And here's the thing for me. We're in this era where everybody wants to become a coach.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So you got these 20-second, reels where they're like, "Yo, check my coaching program out, click the link down below," right? But you have a lot of hungry entrepreneurs who desire to get the right coaching. I guess my question would be, how do I know how to choose the right coach?
That's a really good question, right? Research. So I think a lot of people are impulse buyers. So some people invest in, so lifestyle marketers will sell you a life that you want, that's not a life for you.
I guess.
The reason why that car note is too much for you is because that ain't the car that guy wants to have, right? So now they'll see that and say, "I just want that." You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't the car that he was talking about, it was the grace. It was the fact that if you look at a parachute, right, it's two parables always. So if you look at a parachute, right, and now attached to that parachute, what's growing? Pear.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if it's silver,
I
pear,
got you.
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But you won't see a banana growing there.
Sure.
Right? And so now, when the pears break away from that tree and they're on the surface a little longer, what starts to happen? It starts to die away. So if I'm attached to somebody that's a source that has things live and growing on it, I'm not going to break away from it, because when you do break away, that's what happens, right? And it's in fruit, it's in everything. And so I think that when somebody's talking that resonates with you, then you want to be connected to the source, not the lifestyle they put in, but who they are and who they're speaking from.
I like it.
And so I think a lot of people know how they manipulate the need, they manipulate the fact that, hey, I want a better way out. And now people have realized that my message might not be for God, but I'm a good marketer. And you got a lot of marketers out there now that jump in front of those cars and lead with that. And then now you jump and invest in their program and you're not connected to anything because they don't have anything that they're connected to.
Yeah. And for me, I've gone to conferences, I spent thousands of dollars on coaching. My thing is, I want to get in the room so I can see what these high ticket players are doing. Right? And so I just want to get in the room. I've been taught now, don't just buy a ticket, but buy the VIP ticket so you can get the front row seat and get the real game, right? Because it's not who's on the stage, but it's who's connected to you in proximity. Because those are the real connections that they're on the stage, they already won, right? And so I've had my bad experiences when it comes to coaching and it comes to how to choose. But what I've learned is I wanted a better quality of business. And so I started to attract who I want to be connected to.
That's good. I would also say assignment also determines the coach. When I was looking for coaches as well, he used the term lifestyle marketers. You need to know that they exist. There are guys out here standing in front of Rolls Royces in a rented storm jets that really ain't a real jet. It's in front of a house that's really honestly renting out for 4 hours for photography shoots. You really, for me, what I was looking for was a coach who had a value system that matched mine. Because if you're not careful, you can find a coach who's marketing cheese. And that's what I call guys who are lifestyle, not to knock anybody. If you're a lifestyle marketer, do your thing. Make sure it's your lifestyle, because you're setting people up for a bad representation of what it means to really, really do what they've been called to do. So I have people who are cheese marketers. They market cheese. They're just living their life. I live here, this is my address, this is what I have, this is what I have. And when I see persons, when it's all about what they have, and then once I start investigating and noticing, ain't nothing really that has any substance to their life. Yeah. But when you are lustful, lust will find what it needs to be satisfied by. And I when I was looking for a coach, I wanted to make sure that whoever I selected and whoever I invested my money into, it was someone who was giving me not just the good, but also the bad. I needed to see every angle of their life and hear what was going on in their life, so that I can understand, one, that I'm not crazy because I'm in my storm. You know what I'm saying? So I believe assignment is very, very important. Very few coaches out there are having a conversation about God and a relationship with God, learning to trust in the Holy Spirit, walking by faith. Very few coaches out there. So for me, I was very intentional in my research to make sure for what was on my life that I protected who poured into my assignment. I like that. And so that's that. So yeah.
And yeah, to add to that, what he said,
yes,
the lustful side.
Yes,
I think that sometimes being unprepared or unprotected can cause you damage. So, like you said, a lot of people have this, I want to make money, I want to get rich, I want to bypass all the servitude. I just want the buy, forget the byproduct. What I just want to make the money. So they see that person and they buy that because they think that they're buying wealth. But God wants them to go through what they got to do to serve. Come on. And so now I think a lot of the bad decisions with coaches, when people throw money away, it's just a lesson from God. And now when you realize, like, man, I guarantee you, after you blew that money, you start paying way more attention to who you're living your life to. And I think that when it comes to coaching, though, I pick mine based on those same principles. My coach don't coach anybody in this scenario.
I like that.
And he said, if you can't commit, and it's different. He only coaches men, and he don't coach men, and I don't get into the whole 50-50 thing. Like you said, if you can't take care of your home, he watches how my wife and my kids look at me. That tells you, though. You can say anything, but the way that they interact and engage with you is the way that your people and your business is going to do it. So now, you can't lead your own household, you can't go out and lead yours.
Wow. Two more questions that we want to tap into. We know this is a conference going on, and we know we got more sessions going, so we're going to wrap it up. But give me something, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs who are high earners, right, seven and eight figure earners, right, what happens is they make things look really good, and they only post the good, with your wife, with the rose, or whatever it is, right? We got all these things, and that's great. But give me some hardship that as an entrepreneur that you had to bounce back from, because it's going to happen. It's not an if, it's a when. And you have to learn how to go through those things. We talked about the strong foundation. So what are some hardships that you had to go through that you were able to bounce back from, and you're here today?
You know what's crazy? I know it sounds weird, right? When I say it, like, what? I really asked God for hardships.
Walk me through.
Because if I don't get my thing is
to ask that question.
and it's crazy because it's a lot of faith work, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that. So, like I said, 2022, I had 4 $1 million days. Money was coming in like super easy, right? And it's easy to get complacent.
Sure.
And so if you don't get new problems, you don't pay attention. Like if you run around the track, you got your headphones on, listening to music, and you never stumble, you never stop and look at the ground because you're just running around the track. It isn't until you stumble, you're like, oh, dang, we got a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
There's cracks here, there's problems. So now those problems, when they come, I realize now that problems are just God's way of saying, hey, it's your job to get it to the people.
Yeah.
And so now I ask for problems because I'm at a point where I know God trusts me. Because I know that I get committed to do the right thing with the problem. So I stopped taking the credit and I started asking for the problem, because if he gives me the problem, he's actually going to give me the grace to get through it. And now if I get through it, that means that I have a whole new market of people that haven't seen this problem yet. So now people are like, hey, you're so genius, you think about this, just for the problems that I asked.
Wow. So if I could just pick it back on that, even as recently, this faith meeting, this entrepreneur's faith convention that you really don't see happening. Even the Endeavor was just talking about this.
Yes.
You don't see it very often, especially in the faith community, unless you're just on some large scale and you got thousands of members. But when you got a guy that is an average church, you don't really see it on this level. And the warfare, because of this assignment has been crucial. 24 hours before this meeting, I'm in my office. I'm supposed to be writing my speech that I'm supposed to share. I'm supposed to be writing the sermon for Thursday night. I've got 2 services I got to preach on Sunday. I've got a staff meeting that I got to lead. I've got leaders that I got to do. I'm like Wednesday. I'm literally in my office on the phone with the planning team and my executive assistant, and I told her these words. I'm sorry, I have to get off the phone. I'm getting overwhelmed. Wow. And I sat in my office, no joke, this week, in tears. Wow. And I said, God, what was I thinking when I put this meeting on?
Yeah.
Why would you put me in this position to host this meeting knowing people are going to judge the flyer based on people they don't know without understanding the value of what's really in the room? So I'm listening to all of those words, because here's the thing, I'm judging it based on who registered. I'm looking at, well, we said we was going to have this number of registrants, the budget is not, and God said, this ain't about budget. This is about purpose, and this is about assignment. And so I had to kind of press through and work through those emotions. My assistant said, hey, we got it. You good, get off the phone. And she let me have a moment. And I literally went that entire day. And if I say hell broke loose, hell broke loose. So when people see me up talking, it seems like, oh, he just never has a bad this just a few days ago. And when reality sets in, is that, wait a minute, based on what registered, who registered, we in the red on this thing. But what was mainly important was that I did what God told me to do.
Yes.
And I've never seen God not make up for something he called me to do. Wow. So I just want to say to anybody in the room that anything that God calls you to do, it's usually going to supersede your mind and your expectations. You just have to be willing and obedient and watch God do what only God can do. And so, just to see the lives that have been transformed in this room over the last couple of days has been extremely encouraging. I had people tap me on the shoulder, relationships being built, people's faith. Somebody was considering walking away from business. But because of this meeting, I believe now they've been given the fight and the endurance to continue in the journey.
When I walked in the building, I seen some familiar faces, and one of the gentlemen said, I literally took off work to be a part of this meeting. Wow. And so, to your point, there are some conversations that we literally walked into right when we got into the room, and it was like, it had to be juicy, it had to be solid. And so it's a testament to you that whatever you order, you have to pay for it. But if God ordered, the ticket is on him. Right? And so, final thing is, can you just kind of speak to entrepreneurs and just give some encouraging words, some final words? I appreciate you guys for stepping in and just kind of giving this particular community some gems, because you guys dropped some gems. So can you just kind of encourage them?
I would say this to the person watching right now, regardless of the time of the day you're watching it, the words that God gave Joshua: be of good courage. Just know that I've ordered every one of your steps. Depart not from this book of the law. be of good courage, because building a business takes not only faith, but it takes courage. Because courage is your ability to press through all of the obstacles. Faith is stepping out on something. Courage gives you your fight to endure hardness like a good soldier. So I would just encourage you to just remain steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. And I promise you, you may be in a season of failure, but just know the opposite of failure is success.
I like it. I like it. Dropping gems.
It's hard.
Derek, yeah. Yeah, Derek, what would you say to those who are just some encouraging words, closing out words?
I always tell people, never try to eat from an environment that you did not plant a seed in. And the thing is we forget that the people are the seeds. And when we nurture and when we call to actually serve the people, God gives us the resources to serve the people. You don't have because you're only asking for yourself. When you take on a commitment that you're going to be used to actually help steward the people that's been praying for you, then therefore all the things that you've been asking for are going to show up, and they might show up through problems. So instead of asking God to end what you got going on, start documenting and ask God to start sending you the people who you're actually called to serve. They might show up in the form of clients, but it's bigger than clients because, like you said, when you form a business, you actually form a ministry, and your solution is actually something that God is putting out there through you to help them do so they get to the next level. When you understand that it's not just about the money is a byproduct of the kingdom that you're serving. All you gotta do is just create fertile soil through being obedient. That's it. And so just remember, always lead with giving, and then that's how people will identify you as an expert. You don't have clients because you're not serving that environment, and the more people you serve will ask questions, and those questions is exactly what they talk about. Wow.
Derek, Pastor Ken, thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate you being a part of More Than a Barber podcast. This has been a great episode. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you liked this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe. I can't wait to be back soon. Let's go. Hey, yo, check this out. If you like this episode, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe down below. We got amazing content coming your way. Stay tuned for more. Let's go.